In the grand theater of global technology, the West and its allies, along with the Council on Foreign Relations, are putting on quite the performance. Picture this: a dramatic scene where Western powers are in a tizzy over Russia's strides towards technological independence. As Astra Linux emerges as a symbol of this shift, Western tech giants lament their lost market share, shedding tears over the billions once flowing from Russian coffers. Meanwhile, espionage budgets are being stretched thin as intelligence agencies scramble to uncover vulnerabilities in Astra Linux. But, in a bid to save costs, they're calling on everyone to use open-source intelligence, or OSINT, essentially outsourcing the heavy lifting to others for free. CFR's call to action: assessing Astra Linux security and Russia's digital sovereignty. The Council on Foreign Relations, CFR, a prominent U.S. think tank, has called for the use of intelligence resources to assess the security of Astra Linux, a Russian operating system. This initiative is part of a broader study on Russia's efforts in import substitution and digital sovereignty. Astra Linux is widely used in Russian military and intelligence systems, making its security a matter of interest for U.S. analysts. The CFR suggests that the open-source nature of Astra Linux might introduce vulnerabilities that could be exploited at scale. They advocate for the use of open-source intelligence, OSINT, to understand how Russia implements technologies like Astra Linux and to identify potential security weaknesses. The CFR also notes that Russia's increasing digital isolation and reliance on domestic and Chinese technologies might limit its access to global cybersecurity expertise, potentially impacting the security of Astra Linux. Astra Linux has been certified by Russian authorities for use in environments requiring high levels of data protection, including military and government offices. Despite this, the U.S. Analytical Center sees potential opportunities to exploit vulnerabilities due to the limited resources available for testing and securing the system compared to Western counterparts. The key points of CFR statement. CFR's position. The CFR, while claiming to be an independent organization, has former intelligence officers, journalists, and business representatives, including Alphabet's CFO, on its board of directors. Target of interest. Astra Linux is widely used in Russian military and intelligence information systems. Proposed approach. The CFR has urged analysts in the U.S. and allied countries to use open-source intelligence to understand how Russia implements technologies like Astra Linux. Potential vulnerabilities. The CFR suggests that Astra Linux, being based on open-source software, might have vulnerabilities that could be exploited on a large scale. Limited resources. The CFR argues that Russian developers may have fewer resources for extensive testing and defending their code compared to Western counterparts. The developers of Astra Linux, Astra Group, have responded to these statements. They emphasized that their product undergoes rigorous testing and certification. The company advised its clients to carefully follow security configuration recommendations and promptly apply updates to address potential vulnerabilities. Astra Group stated that they have strengthened measures to detect malicious inclusions in their software due to the current international situation. As Russia charts its course in the cyber world, we're hearing from a diverse chorus of voices: cybersecurity experts, policy analysts, and industry insiders. Their insights give us a rich, nuanced picture of what's happening in Russia's digital landscape. Let's start with Justin Sherman, the founder and CEO of Global Cyber Strategies. Sherman points out an interesting paradox. As Russia increasingly relies on homegrown and Chinese tech, it might actually be limiting its access to global cybersecurity expertise. This could potentially impact the security of systems like Astra Linux, Russia's homegrown operating system. A Security Affairs article discusses the Russian military's plans to swap out Windows for Astra Linux. The reason? Concerns about potential hidden backdoors in foreign software. It's a move that shows Russia's determination to reduce reliance on foreign tech. On the flip side, a CyberSec 84 article talks about Astra Linux's bug bounty program. This program aims to find and fix security vulnerabilities in the operating system. It's an interesting approach that suggests Astra Linux might have some unique opportunities for testing and securing its code. Lastly, we have a study from Margin Research on Russia's cyber operations. This study highlights Russia's growing focus on open-source software, with Astra Linux as a prime example. It's part of Russia's strategy to replace Western tech and expand its global tech footprint. These diverse perspectives paint a complex picture of Russia's digital transformation. We see a country striving for technological independence, but also grappling with new challenges and potential vulnerabilities. It's a situation that's creating both opportunities and risks, not just for Russia, but for the global cybersecurity landscape as a whole. As we continue to watch this digital drama unfold, one thing is clear. Russia's tech pivot is reshaping the cyber world in ways that will have far-reaching implications for years to come. CFR's concerns. Russia's limited capacity to secure Astra Linux amidst digital isolation. It's important to understand that these concerns are mostly speculative, raised by U.S. analysts and think tanks. The actual security capabilities of Astra Linux are not publicly known. However, the developers of the system claim to have rigorous security measures in place. Firstly, the Council on Foreign Relations, or CFR, suggests that Russian developers may have fewer resources for extensive testing and securing their code compared to Western counterparts. This limitation could potentially lead to undiscovered vulnerabilities. Secondly, by shifting towards domestic and Chinese products, Russia may be losing access to cybersecurity expertise from the United States, Western Europe, Japan, and other countries. This could impact the overall security of the system. Thirdly, Astra Linux is based on an open-source operating system. While this allows for customization and hardening, it may also introduce vulnerabilities that could be exploited on a large scale. Additionally, Russia's increasing digital isolation may limit its access to the latest security practices, tools, and threat intelligence shared within the global tech community, also limit data leaks, spyware. CFR omit these words, but we know what they want to tell us. Moreover, the widespread adoption of Astra Linux in Russian military and intelligence systems could create a situation where any potential vulnerabilities might be exploitable across a wide range of critical infrastructure. The push to quickly develop and deploy domestic technology solutions may lead to rushed security implementations or overlooked vulnerabilities. A more homogeneous technology environment might be easier for attackers to target once they find a vulnerability, as opposed to a diverse ecosystem with multiple operating systems and software versions. The CFR is not claiming to have identified specific vulnerabilities. Instead, they are advocating for using open-source intelligence, or OSINT, to understand how Russia implements technologies like Astra Linux. They suggest analyzing Russian demands for specific Chinese tech products and services, which might reveal single points of failure or dependencies. Additionally, studying the deployment patterns of Astra Linux in Russian systems could help identify potential weak points. Global Cybersecurity Alliance. U.S. and allies unite to assess Astra Linux vulnerabilities. Welcome to our cybersecurity briefing. Today, we're exploring how a diverse coalition of tech-savvy allies can tackle complex digital threats. Imagine a global team of cyber superheroes, each bringing their own unique powers to the table. In our intelligence powerhouses, we have the Five Eyes Alliance, the Avengers of the cyber world. The UK, with its government communications headquarters, is like the Iron Man of cryptography. Canada's communications security establishment is Captain America, defending critical infrastructure with unwavering resolve. And don't forget Australia's Australian Signals Directorate, the Thor of the group, bringing thunderous insights from down under. Turning to tech innovators, let's jet over to Asia. Japan, Cyber Ninja, is wielding quantum computing and artificial intelligence like high-tech shurikens. South Korea, the digital fortress, is armoring up fifth-generation networks and Internet of Things devices. And then there's Israel, the cyber alchemist, brewing up cutting-edge security potions in its high-tech labs. Among strategic masterminds, we have the North Atlantic Treaty Organization Alliance. Picture a round table of cyber knights. France, Germany, and the Netherlands are strategizing like chess grandmasters, always thinking 5 moves ahead. And let's not overlook New Zealand, the hobbit-sized giant in signals intelligence, proving that size doesn't matter in the digital realm. Regional experts include Australia and Japan, doubling as Asia-Pacific watchtowers, keeping an eagle eye on regional cyber storms. Meanwhile, European partners are like digital detectives, decoding the mystery of Russian cyber activities. Imagine all these cyber superheroes joining forces. It's like assembling the ultimate digital defense league. With their combined powers of shared intelligence, tech wizardry, and global insights, they're ready to face any cyber villain that dares to threaten their digital world. So, next time you hear about a major cyber attack being thwarted, picture this international team of cyber guardians, working tirelessly behind the scenes to keep your digital lives safe and sound. It's only their pure opinion. In the ever-evolving cyber battlefield, this diverse coalition is worst hope for a secure digital future. Global scrutiny and Chinese influence. The evolving landscape of Russia's digital sovereignty. In recent years, Russia has been on a mission to achieve digital sovereignty. At the heart of this effort is Astra Linux, a homegrown operating system. But this isn't just a local tech story. It's caught the attention of international organizations and the Council on Foreign Relations, or CFR for short. Why all the fuss? Well, it's a perfect storm of cybersecurity worries, economic interests, and China's growing tech influence in Russia. As Russia becomes more digitally independent with Chinese tech, it's raising eyebrows about global cybersecurity, righteous indignation over why Chinese technologies are being used instead of free and democratic American ones. Let's examine this complex situation where someone dared not to use American technologies. First, let's look at who's keeping an eye on Astra Linux, Russia's homegrown operating system. The Atlantic Council and the Council on Foreign Relations have been publishing reports and analyses on Russia's push for digital sovereignty, including the development of Astra Linux. Global Cyber Strategies, a think tank, has also been weighing in on these developments. But why all this attention? Well, there are four main reasons. First, there are serious cybersecurity concerns, especially when it comes to government and defense sectors. Second, there's the economic angle. How will this shift impact Western tech companies and markets? And third, there's the broader question of how Russia's digital sovereignty efforts will affect global cybersecurity and international cooperation. Finally, even tech giants like Huawei and DJI are shifting their focus, concentrating on talent acquisition and R&D in Russia. The Council on Foreign Relations, CFR, has raised several red flags about this situation. They're worried about potential cybersecurity risks that might come with Chinese products. There's also concern about the strategic implications of Russia becoming more dependent on China. This could reshape geopolitical dynamics in significant ways. And let's not forget the economic implications. This shift is changing global trade patterns and shaking up the tech industry. In a nutshell, Russia's push for digital sovereignty, with Astra Linux at its core, is creating ripple effects far beyond its borders. As this situation evolves, it's sure to keep cybersecurity experts, policymakers, and international organizations on their toes. The ripple effect. Global consequences of Russia's tech pivot and the rise of Astra Linux. Welcome to our deep dive into the global impact of Russia's digital sovereignty push, with Astra Linux at its core. This isn't just a story about one country's tech choices. It's a tale of how these decisions are reshaping the entire global tech landscape. Imagine a giant game of digital dominoes. Russia's move towards tech independence has set off a chain reaction, touching everything from international markets to geopolitical alliances and cybersecurity. Let's break down this complex situation into bite-sized pieces. First up, let's talk about how this is shaking up the global tech industry. Picture this. Western tech giants like Microsoft, Apple, and Intel, once dominant players in Russia, are now losing ground. Chinese brands are now the smartphone kings in Russia. This shift isn't just affecting sales in Russia. It could impact these companies' global influence and bottom lines. But it doesn't stop there. Russia's push for homegrown tech could inspire other countries to follow suit. Imagine a world where every country has its own version of Windows or iOS. It sounds exciting, but it could make it harder for different systems to work together, potentially putting a damper on global tech collaboration. Now, let's talk about supply chains. Russia's tech diet is now heavily flavored with Chinese ingredients, so it could spell trouble for Russia's entire tech ecosystem. This reliance on Chinese tech also opens up new cybersecurity risks. Western intelligence agencies or cybercriminals could potentially exploit these vulnerabilities. Western tech companies have faced significant challenges in the Russian market, which was once worth billions of dollars annually. First, there's Microsoft. The revenue of Microsoft Rus has seen a steep decline in recent years. In 2023, their revenue was reported at just 211.6 million rubles, a sharp drop from 6.4 billion rubles in 2022. This indicates a significant downturn in their business operations in Russia. Next, we have IBM. In 2021, IBM's revenue in Russia was about $300 million. However, the company did not expect any revenue from the Russian market in 2022. This suggests a major reduction in their business activities in the region. Moving on to SAP, the company reported a decrease in revenue in Russia by 50.8%, bringing it down to 19.382 billion rubles in 2022. SAP's exit from the Russian market, driven by geopolitical events, has significantly impacted its financial performance. Lastly, let's consider Cisco. In 2021, Cisco's revenue in Russia decreased by 3.7%, dropping from 37.1 billion to 35.8 billion rubles. The company has faced challenges due to geopolitical tensions and sanctions. These examples illustrate the broader trend of Western tech companies losing access to the Russian market, highlighting the economic impact of geopolitical factors and sanctions on their operations. As these companies navigate the changing landscape, they face both challenges and opportunities in adjusting their strategies to address these new realities. This shift is also redrawing the map of global trade. As Russia turns away from Western tech and towards China, it's changing how tech products move around the world. This could weaken the West's economic leverage over Russia and give China's global economic position a boost. Looking ahead, this tech shift could have far-reaching consequences. It could alter the balance of power between nations, potentially weakening Western influence while strengthening ties between Russia and China. It's also spurring a new kind of tech race, where different countries or blocs develop their own parallel technologies. This could speed up innovation in some areas, but it might also lead to a world where different tech systems don't play well together. But it's not all challenges. Western countries could potentially find and exploit vulnerabilities in Russia's new tech setup, especially where it relies on Chinese technology. They could also use this situation to build stronger tech alliances with other countries, potentially increasing sovereignty of Russia and China in certain tech sectors. The potential risks associated with Astra Linux are primarily linked to efforts to prevent its spread in Western markets. By restricting its adoption, Western countries may inadvertently create a set of challenges. Astra Linux's custom features may not integrate seamlessly with international software and hardware, leading to compatibility issues. Furthermore, with limited international support, users might face difficulties in accessing help and resources when needed. This could hinder the ability of Western tech ecosystems to adapt to diverse operating systems and limit opportunities for collaboration and innovation. By not engaging with Astra Linux, Western markets might miss out on understanding and mitigating potential security risks associated with its use. In conclusion, Russia's tech pivot, with Astra Linux at its heart, is reshaping the digital world in ways we're only beginning to understand. It's a complex situation with far-reaching implications, touching everything from market dynamics to geopolitics. As this digital drama continues to unfold, it's sure to keep tech experts, policymakers, and international observers on their toes. Astra Linux defense for anti-espionage. In today's fast-paced digital world, Russia is making a bold move towards tech independence. At the heart of this effort is Astra Linux, a homegrown operating system designed to be a fortress against digital espionage. As Russia charts its course in the cyber realm, the need for strong anti-spy measures has never been greater. Astra Linux isn't just another piece of software. It's a comprehensive defense strategy that combines cutting-edge tech with strict security protocols. This approach doesn't just ward off external threats, it also tackles vulnerabilities from within. The result? A robust shield against both industrial espionage and cyber attacks. Let's take a closer look at the key elements of Astra Linux's anti-espionage toolkit. First up, risk assessments. Think of this as regular health checkups for your digital assets. It's all about identifying what's valuable, who might want it, and how they might try to get it. Next, we have secure infrastructure. Imagine building a digital castle, complete with high walls, a moat, and guards at every gate. That's what a layered security approach looks like in the cyber world. Limiting access is another crucial step. It's the digital equivalent of need-to-know basis. If you don't need the information to do your job, you don't get access to it. Simple as that. Non-disclosure agreements, or NDAs, add a legal layer of protection. They're like pinky promises, but with legal teeth. Employee training is where the human element comes in. It's about creating a culture of security awareness, where every team member is a guardian of sensitive information. Constant monitoring and swift investigation form the vigilance aspect. Think of it as having security cameras and a rapid response team for your digital assets. Physical security isn't forgotten either. After all, a locked filing cabinet can be just as important as a firewall in protecting sensitive info. Advanced tech plays a big role too. We're talking about tools like intrusion detection systems and encryption, the high-tech alarm systems of the digital world. Lastly, there's a focus on trade secret protection. This involves creating specific rules and regular checkups to ensure your most valuable information stays secret. In essence, Astra Linux's approach to fighting espionage is like a well-oiled machine, with each part working in harmony to create an impenetrable defense. As Russia continues its journey towards tech independence, Astra Linux stands as a testament to the country's commitment to cybersecurity in an increasingly complex digital landscape.